I love the background there. That's great.
Yay!
So did you design the character and everything for the
No,
background?
I didn't.
Oh, okay.
No, I had a friend named Tom Foolery do it. He actually he like worked on
I'm guessing
animating.
that's like a stage name or a pen
Well,
name.
that's his actual credited name.
Oh,
So I mean, that's the only name I know for him.
okay. All right.
He was
Well,
animated.
well, let me start off right here. So, welcome to Make Your Own Fun here with Julia Hapney, and I'm just so excited. I've actually probably, I think, wanted to reach out for a while, but I've been kind of, I don't know if you've seen on the channel, we've been like restructuring, and we've got finally the comedy segment thing that we do. We kind of got off the ground, and my co-host, she's been a real shot in the arm, so that's been great. So
That's
getting back to the
awesome.
interviews now, and so how's Vegas?
It's great.
Yeah,
I'm in LA all the time though, so I'm back and forth.
I kind of figured out, even though I mean I know people that go out to Vegas to shoot. So I mean, do you do stuff locally there too?
Yeah, a little bit, but I'm mostly LA. But I have been lucky that when they were shooting a couple big union shows here and they needed to hire like local people, I got to work on them because I'm local 706. So that was
Right
a
place,
big.
right time. So what brought you? Because I know initially you came out to LA, and then what brought you to Vegas? Work or just
No, not work. I'm going to buy a house here. And so more like thinking towards the future of where I want to physically be. And I mean, I love LA. It's just so expensive, like unbelievably expensive. And you get a lot more house for your money here.
yeah, just as an example, not to you, but just for the people watching, because so many people watch TV shows and movies, and they're like, "Oh, everybody just walks around and drinks like mixed drinks all the time, and wears swimwear, and they don't have to pay for anything." And I'm like, fantasy. So just
Yeah.
as an example, when I rented a room out of a house in Laguna Niguel. I moved down there so like my daughter could get like a really good like education and stuff.
Laguna Niguel's
I mean,
beautiful.
beautiful, but here's the thing: $1,000 for a room and then just access to the kitchen and living room. But like my apartment when I lived in LA was cheaper than that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So people watching, if you're, gonna make the move to LA, all I can say is save up a huge nest egg. Even if you have to stay home or, work that crummy second job for a while, like trust me, you will burn through that money so fast. So I guess I'll
And
just start.
LA's old too. Like a lot of the buildings are made in like the 40s and 50s. So like things like central air conditioning, like not a lot of people have that.
Yeah, I have a wonderful wall unit that I'm not using right now that when I turn it on, sounds like a lawnmower.
Mhm.
So like you probably seen like the other episodes when I was in the other room and everything. Had like fan going, window open, like doors open, try to get a cross current, and it was just a nightmare. But speaking of nightmares, um, I guess I'll start by this so I can kind of like pick your brain a little bit. What have you seen recently, like horror film stuff that's made you kind of happy that you've watched, either like at home or gone to a theater?
Okay, so I'm obsessed with Are You Afraid of the Dark? And so they recently did a revival. And so this year was season 3, which was Ghost Island. And I absolutely loved it. It was great. And then currently airing right now, too, is American Horror Stories season 2 on Hulu, which is kind of like the spinoff one. And if you watched this week's episode, well, yeah, I guess it would be this week's episode. It comes out like Thursday night at midnight. or maybe it's Wednesday night at midnight. I think regardless, you can watch it on Thursday. And basically, this episode was Bloody Mary. And
Oh, cool.
have you seen both of these series?
No, I haven't.
Okay, it's okay. Without like ruining anything, let's just say that there's like a mirror mythology to the new Are You Afraid of the Dark Ghost Island. And I thought it was really cool because this week on American Horror Stories, there was a mirror mythology because of Bloody Mary. And so it was really interesting to see like the approved for kids version and the made for adults version.
Oh, cool.
One was pretty scary, man. They got away with a lot.
Hey, I mean, you know what's crazy too is kids are not kids, but I want to say like teens and preteens, they're really hip to horror and like really dark sci-fi and stuff like that. They're really like at that age, I was just like, I don't know if I want to sit through the whole like Nightmare on Elm Street. It's pretty freaky. I don't want to sleep on a waterbed. I'm gonna get sucked in and my blood's gonna shoot up in the ceiling.
Oh, I loved it when I was little.
Let's
Loved it.
see. Recently, just this morning, I finished watching on Hulu. Funny you mentioned that. Gaia, the South African film about the forest rangers that go. I think it takes place in South America, and they come across this area of the jungle where people are kind of being absorbed and becoming like plant people.
Ooh.
And then there's a couple of survivalists that have learned like certain mushrooms and like medicinal stuff that they can kind of keep the infection at bay. So
Oh.
I liked it. It was a little slow pace, but sometimes that happens with foreign films. And then this one's a real obvious one that I got Hulu again just so I could watch it was Prey.
Oh, I haven't watched that yet.
Oh, so good. Like you would think after so many Predator movies, you're like, it's really worked. Is it really out of steam? And then when you hear about the premise, you're like, Predator, Native Americans, like, really? But so good.
Everybody's saying it's like as good as the first one, like they're comparable.
I have a soft place in my heart for the first one because it is really it's a movie of its time, but I just like the old films like that where it's the soldiers and the banter and the soldiers have known each other for a while, so they're kind of making fun of each other and the dialogue and stuff. And but this one, I didn't know anyone in the cast. Never heard the director Trachtenberg. He made 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Okay.
And have you seen that?
It's been a long time.
What a conceit that was that the in that film where the woman survives all of that crap with getting out of town and then she's in the bunker with a serial killer.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen that. I feel like I only watched it once and I believe I saw it in theaters. Or wait, was that the one no, that one didn't come out in theaters. That was the one that only came out on.
There's been, I think, three. The first one was just Cloverfield, where the giant monster attacked New York.
Yeah.
The second one was Cloverfield Lane, where the girl got out of the city and then got pulled into a bunker. That's the one I'm talking about had Mary Elizabeth Winstead and John Goodman.
Yeah, didn't it just come out like streaming or something? Like,
There was
wasn't
a
it?
third one called Paradox, where they're on a space station.
Okay.
And
I worked on
that one
Meg-
to me, what's that?
I worked on something called Megan that's in that world. It's in that like franchise.
Okay. About a shark? Meg?
No, Megan. Like it's on IMDb. I don't know that much about it, but apparently it's connected to that somehow. Like it's like it was a short that we did. I think we shot it in like 5 days. But it was after the second one, before the third one.
Okay.
Whatever. And so I know that I saw the third one, but I don't.
Third one was the one on the space station was, and I was like, why are they dumping this on Netflix like right after the Super Bowl with like no advertising? And then I saw it and I was like, that's why. But I feel like it's kind of cool with that franchise a little bit where they make the film and then they don't really have a title for it. And then they're like, by the way, this is the Cloverfield movie. So
Yeah.
J.J. Abrams and his mystery box, right?
Well, they were making jokes that like the next time he comes out with a movie, he's gonna like deliver it through your window. Like
He's
Do you
gonna be
remember
like,
those and stuff? Because it was all like surprise, like what he made another movie and it's
I'm
here already,
like, dude, I live on the third floor. What the hell?
like Buffy the Vampire style,
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
looking out the window.
Those DHL guys, man, they're really like into their job. Um, so I guess we'll dovetail into kind of what we're working on, the body count film. And so how did you get involved? I know how I kind of got into it, but
Through Jen, and I know Trejo too.
right on, right on. I think well, I interviewed her on the show last year, and I knew she was going to be working on a project. And she just posted online that she was looking for stories, and so I sent her a story, and she liked it.
That's a really good story.
Oh, thank you. Um, so have you been working on all the sections of Body Count, all of the anthology stories?
Nope, just this one.
Oh, I'm touched.
I like.
Um, oh, thanks. So I guess take me back in your Wayback Machine of choice. When, because you were saying that, when you were younger about, liking horror films and stuff like that. But I know also you did acting and some other things. So,
Nope, not an
um,
actor.
what?
I'm not an actress.
Oh,
No.
you're like,
I've
"Get
gotten
away
pulled
from
into
that."
a couple things. Like, I'm in a Metallica music video where I like run down the hallway for 2.5 seconds. And then
Counts, right?
like oh, I'm in a Hot Hot Heat music video. And then I'm in a movie called Kissing Strangers. I'm like yelling girl number 4. And the only reason I'm that is because they had booked an actress and she didn't show up that day. And so literally the director was like, Julie, go do your hair and makeup. You're going to be one of the, drunk girls in the back of the car. And I was like, what? Like, okay,
Like, we need a body, go.
pretty much.
Need human furniture, get over there.
So no, I'm
So,
not an actress.
so
I'm a
you're
puppet.
are you
So I
originally from
act with
Ohio,
people.
right?
Yeah, I am. And you're from Ohio. I saw that.
I know that's crazy. So, southeastern part of the
Hmm.
state?
Yeah, right by
So
West. So like Parkersburg, West Virginia or Marietta, Ohio. Like I went to Marietta College.
I've been to Marietta, and that's so funny. And I'm from northeastern Ohio. Went to Kent State, so Second City, Cleveland, and all that stuff. So it's
Yeah.
so funny. Like everybody seems to be from that side of the state. It's like the western side of the state. I don't want to say it's like a no man's land, but there's just. I mean, granted, you've got like Toledo closer to Michigan, but like everything else is just.
Yeah. Everybody's either from like Cleveland area, like that, or like Columbus, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I barely meet anybody where I'm from. I met one person from Williamstown, and I was like, oh my god, like our high schools were rivals. Like this is crazy. Like such like a blast from the past, and it was really funny too because we're like around the same age, and like she ended up she used to date my friend who was like my neighbor who I grew up with, and so like the common connection, like yeah, such a small world. And yeah, she's really cool. Thank goodness she's awesome at her job too, because it would suck to like meet somebody from back home and they like suck and you're like, oh man, I'll never see him again.
Oh,
We're not gonna make it.
yep. So tell me about that time. I don't know how long ago you moved, but did you work on like projects when you were there in Ohio, like short films or nothing?
Nope.
Nothing until
Just
you moved,
watched. I wanted to be a marine biologist and study sharks.
which is
And then
awesome.
I realized while I was in college that I think I thought that like I was gonna be on the Discovery Channel, like, living off a boat, swimming with the sharks. And I realized that as a marine biologist, I'd actually be like cutting them up into little pieces and doing like, chemical, trying to cure cancer, with their genetics and things like that. And what I really enjoyed doing with all my free time was watching horror movies. And that had always been something that I loved. And it just kind of occurred to me, like, I also wanted to just get out of the Mid Ohio Valley. Like, and part of it was like, well, if I go to film school, like I'll get to go to California.
You're
And yeah, so in 2004 was when I made the jump. So, and then I moved to Vegas in 2019. So I was in LA a long time,
yeah.
almost.
Well, then I have to ask you and parlay that into um, after what you say your interest was. What was your feeling about the movie Jaws?
I love the movie Jaws. Oh, if anything, this is kind of funny. I'm so like I set this little backdrop of over my sewing rack of clothes so that I'm technically in my sewing room right now.
Okay.
So I have all these like randomly weird stuff. But I actually I got the Jaws shoes. They're not in here. This is just like a
Oh
box.
my
But I
God.
like kept the box because it's so cool. But like I had
Oh my God.
the Jaws shoes that Vans did like years ago. Or it wasn't Vans, it was Sperry actually.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I love sharks. I love them so much.
It's interesting too when you think about that classic poster art, and then you watch like a documentary about actual sharks, and then you go back and you look at the poster art. I don't know who did the actual artwork for that, but you really look at the mouth of the shark, and we know like shark teeth are kind of like jagged and a little bit to the point like that. And then you look at the Jaws poster, it's genius because yeah, they look like shark teeth, but they really, if you think about it, they look more like knife tips,
Oh yeah.
like as opposed to like an actual shark. So in it's like subconsciously you're like, this is gonna hurt a lot.
Yeah, that show changed the world. I mean, it really did. Like it, wow,
And then
amazing.
you can't go anywhere in the world, I would say, without hearing those two notes on a piano and going like, even if you've got your feet in a freaking pool and you can see the bottom, it's a natural primordial thing when somebody walks by and they just whisper or they yell that you're like, ah, you just get your feet out of the water, you know. The other movies were, you know,
Like the one where they're at SeaWorld and it like, the glass bursts and it all comes through. Like, I don't know.
where it's
I
like not even like moving and they're like, no.
it's just so fun. I don't know. They're campy and they're kind of crazy, but I enjoy them. Just like I like all the Indiana Jones movies.
Yep.
Like I can just keep watching them over and over again because they're so fun.
I hope the fifth one is good. I'm really excited for the fifth one. Even though I'm like, he's 80.
Yeah, but I mean, movie magic.
Movie magic, and it's all about the people around him because I think there's a really good way to pull that off because he's an archaeology professor. So he should be using this too and sizing things up. And if to get out of sticky situations. Because to me, and it's gotten better. I'm not a huge Star Trek fan, but
Not Star.
when they did, what's it called? Picard with Patrick Stewart, I watched that first season. And after a while, I was going from like water to like next episode, like soda. Third episode, I'm sitting there like, I like Patrick Stewart. I want this to be good. So like alcohol, when I'm watching it, and I'm like, guys are just running into his fists in the fight scene because he's like this, and he's like, "Don't approach me again, or I shall give you another thrashing." And the guys are just because, come on. And then they cut to like some 25-year-old guy just flinging himself across the room, and it's like, this guy's supposed to be a really brilliant character. Like, let him use his brain to get out of this stuff. Because, come on, you were going to break Patrick Stewart.
Yeah.
So tell me about, I know, right? Hard shift. Tell me about when you first came to LA. Was there like the telltale everybody goes through, like the shady, like production offices that are also working as karate dojos versus like a friend of a friend of a friend said they're making a movie if you want to come and work on this.
I kind of got started in student films. I did a lot of student films for quite a few years. Basically, I did a lot of like USC films, a lot of UCLA films, a lot of AFI films, but really USC was probably the one I worked with the most. So I got to kind of avoid a lot of that. I mean, definitely like I've experienced it. We've all experienced, bad production companies. But I was really lucky that a lot of like my like I said, when I got started, I did student films, and so once they graduated, then they got real jobs, and they were low budget, but they were still the ones producing them and the ones like making everything happen. But yeah, so I've been pretty lucky with that. Now, there was a couple jobs that like I found off of like Craigslist back in the day, and I remember there was this one I don't remember what it was called, and it didn't finish. I want to say we only shot like 3 or 4 days, but still it was like 3 or 4 days. And it
Mhm.
was definitely like, I want to say they paid like $25 a day for me to do makeup. And that was like just to cover the makeup costs. But they had this girl, and it was like day 3. And at one point they were like, okay, so we want you to go ahead and like take your clothes off. Or we're going to do this like full frontal shot of you like naked. And you're, kind of like, holding, you're like, laying down in the corner kind of, but you're like fully naked. And she was like, what? Like, I'm not getting fully naked. I'm sorry. And they were like, no, 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 it'll be great. It'll be great. And like, I'm kind of like looking at her, and like, there was like another girl there who was like handling the costumes. And so it was like me and this other girl and the actress. Like the actress was like bawling, like, I don't want to ruin the movie, but like, I can't do it. And we were both like, don't do it. And she was like, but then we won't have a job. And we're like, we're not even getting paid. Like,
We
it's
won't
fine.
even have a volunteer
Yeah,
intern job.
let's just go home.
Right.
Yeah, so like I feel like the actors honestly have it a lot worse than like we do. Like one thing that like I learned early on, so one terrible thing that people try and do try to do to makeup artists is they're like, you should work in the bathroom. And first off, like, are we talking
People
about like
need the bathroom.
but like, are we talking about like the master bathroom in the master bedroom that nobody's going to be using, that has like a vanity? No, no, no. We're talking about like the only bathroom in the house that everybody's supposed to use. That's like a small bathroom. And they want me to like set up my whole kit on like this tiny part of a sink, but people have to go in there and go number 1 and number 2 and hopefully wash their hands. And what drizzle, like, yeah, no. And so like, I like to joke, like, go ahead and put your production office in the bathroom for a day. And I promise you'll never ask a makeup artist to work out of the bathroom again. It's not sanitary as long as, it's in use. Obviously, if you tape the toilet shut and like, wipe Clorox everything down and don't have any vapors and shit in the air, then potentially it would be better. But like, yeah, that's more of the hell stuff that I get.
I'm just thinking in my own mind about productions I've worked on, over the years where at least a third they've
Yeah.
had somebody, and it's, you can't, I understand it's like you can't always have your kit with you, your like makeup bag, and just be like running up to and from the actors and things, but you can't put just, it's like nobody puts baby in a corner. It's like you don't want to be in there, but it's, I don't know why that is. I don't know if they
Because there's a mirror.
right.
But it's like, I can do your makeup in the living room and you can go look in the mirror in the bathroom. I
Like,
don't know.
like I know, and you've got to be thinking like I'm the artist, I'm the one looking at you. I'll say you're good to go to set, but I
But I
don't
have
know.
little mirrors too, like if nothing else, like we don't that doesn't need to be the determining factor.
But and what actor is like that method that they're like, I'm supposed to be a vampire. I can't look at my reflection. And you're just like, just let me do this.
Man, actors will do crazy things. Oh, here's another fun one. I was on a shoot and we had to make a girl. She was like going to fall in the mud, and basically I was like, you can buy like clean dirt. Like they make something it's called clean dirt, and on it will say like zero manure. Like
Okay.
that's the important thing to look for. Manure, zero manure. And I said, it's expensive. You're going to pay like $100 for a small bag, but where the manure kind is like a big bag for like $10, like don't get the cheap stuff. It's literally horseshit.
Oh.
And they're like, oh, we won't. And I show up to set and literally I could smell it, because where I'm from, like I know what that smells like, the horse farm, cow farms and stuff, right? I'm like, oh yeah, I know that smell.
Good
And
Ohio cow pies, yeah.
so I walk in a set and I was like, oh shit, like they got manure one. And I walk over and they're sprinkling it all around and like spraying it down with water. And I'm like, there's no way the actress is gonna like put her face in this. Like she can smell it. Like there's no way. And I look on the bag or whatever, it's like 70% manure. I'm just like, yeah, we're screwed. Like how, and of course it's like a night shoot, it's like midnight now. And we're shooting in a junkyard. And basically the actress gets there or whatever. And she's like, oh yeah, no problem. I'll put my face in any puddle. I'm just like, another movie we did, like I've had actors that under the LA street, what is it, the 6th Street Bridge, which is like the LA River, which is like literally filled with like the most disgusting things that like you could ever think of. Like once again, I don't want to sound difficult, but I don't go in that river. Like if I'm doing touch-ups, like I will wear my giant boots. I will stand right at the edge, you know, like they can come and I will come to the side and do their touch-ups. There was a girl who once, so the lead actor was like, yeah, I'm not, you know, going to do this or whatever in the river. And like some random person on our crew was like, who had like, you know, the same color hair was like, I'll do it for like an aerial shot. And it's like, you are literally volunteering to go like body in the LA River for a helicopter shot. They're not even going to know it's you. I don't yeah. I was like, you better get
You're like,
freaking
I might not get a shoe back if I step in
oh,
whatever's oozing
oh.
and been, mixed with
There's homeless people
waste.
literally with their pants down, like using the LA River, like right over there, you know, like you're, yeah,
The,
that's where,
the LA Open trough. Um, so here's something I wanted to ask you that I've always wondered. Because I know that, with horror films, there's just kind of a certain chemistry, a certain kind of goop, I want to say, for fake blood. And so fake blood for like fake like chest wounds or arm wounds or facial stuff versus splatter on a wall or on a non-animate surface. So what like do you recommend for like that kind of stuff? Like is there something that you personally like buy, or is there something that you make in terms of touching up you know for special effects kind of stuff like that?
I mean, I make a lot of my own blood, just especially if I have to make it in mass because it's really expensive if you buy it off the shelf. And also too, when I'm making it myself, I can manipulate it. And I use all food-based products. And that way it's edible. I don't add any soaps to mine because if you add soaps to your blood when it like hits the walls, you get bubbles that don't look realistic. And then also if it gets in somebody's eyes, it stings and hurts. And also, it's not edible. Like
Yeah,
it
you
doesn't.
don't want to cut
No,
back in like a scene or a voiceover of somebody like before Stephanie got shot, she was drinking a large, Mountain Dew Slurpee from 7-Eleven. So she took a drink and then you have to cut in of her just from like here down of somebody going, and then and then it's just bubbles on the wall. But when it comes to this is going to get really specific here, like goops and globs and chunks.
Mhm.
So you don't have to give away your magician's secrets or anything, but what do you kind of recommend? Because somewhat you can't just use like runny ketchup and that kind of consistency. But when it
No.
comes to wounds and something that's supposed to look kind of like fresh, like it just happened in the person, so something happened or a monster scratched them and they've got a deep claw mark or abrasion on their face. It looks fresh, and then they've got to turn to the next shot and be like, and they're like limping down the hall.
I mean, if we're talking like straight, like out of the kitchen, like I don't have a makeup kit, just gonna make some stuff together. Coffee grounds actually does wonders.
Ooh, cool.
And if you get like any kind of red gelatin, like red jello, even like you can add like blue food coloring to it. You definitely want to darken your red with like blues and greens. Um, and then like the thing with corn, I mean, corn syrup works. It's super sticky. It attracts bugs. You have to worry about that. Also, if you have
Oh,
an
yeah.
actor that's diabetic, like you could kill them.
Yeah, and a lot of this
So
stuff, we're filming like hot summer nights, and there's just gnats and bugs and all sorts of creepy crawlies that if you were making a movie about bugs, great, but most of the time
yeah,
you're not. So you're just like, what's gonna keep the stuff away? And literally, I'm sure you've been on sets before too, where a lot of like big makeup shots and things like that for what I would call like the hero reveal of like surviving something, and they've literally just got to like I've been on sets before when I've just been there like an extra set of hands just holding a blanket because it's like you've got it, the lights are on, the lights are hot, the lights are attracting bugs, and it's like you've got to hold a blanket and you're just like you don't want to be a dick, but you're just like hurry up man, these things are hungry.
yeah, it gets real bad real fast too with bugs. Real bad real fast.
So so you came to LA, so what do you think like you've learned from other people in terms of just like on the job kind of experience? Because you're talking about taking classes and this like that and learning with the student films, but moving into like bigger productions. And I'm sure you weren't just like the makeup artist. There was always kind of that junior kind of like apprenticeship of like, you start out helping other people.
Hmm. So you're asking like, who did I get to work with?
Or just like what do you think over like the first couple of jobs that you kind of picked up that it's like not something in a classroom, something like on the job experience, like whether it's like specific things.
I worked in shops.
Okay.
So that was kind of I guess I started doing like student films and stuff. And because I wanted to basically be special effects and not so much, I mean, I want to do makeup, obviously, beauty makeup and prosthetics, but I really wanted to do the blood splatters and the death scenes and that stuff. And that's special effects and that's prop making. And they don't really like tell you that in makeup school. Like it's not like it's all kind of like put in this package of special effects makeup. But then even after you've done special effects makeup, you're like, okay, great. But how do I do this part? And they're like, oh, well, that's handled by the art department. And you're like, wait, what? Like, but I want to do that part. And so it's kind of interesting. So like working for a shop, basically like the shops are hired by the art department. And so that's where your fake bodies and your this and that all comes from. And so one of the first bigger shops I got to work at was called Creature Effects. And that's where I worked on like Criminal Minds, and I worked on The Lone Ranger, and I worked on Zombievers and some show Arrested Development, like shows like that. And but when you're working there, like I learned so much from everybody that works at that shop. Like every day, you're learning from somebody. And a lot of the guys that worked there, they all worked on I think here. Ooh, lose my mind. Oh shoot, Mimic. They all worked on Mimic and
Great
Stacy
movie, yeah.
and a lot of the old Puppet Master stuff. And so like if anything, like getting to work with them, I was like, oh my God, you guys all got to work on like this movie. I love that movie. Like tell me secrets. And then everybody kind of has their own table. And so like if I'm working on a project, like somebody that's got 30 years on me will come over and be like, hey girl, like you should try it a little bit like this. And you're like, oh my God, you just saved me 5 hours. And then like getting to yeah, I mean, literally like whatever the next project was, I just got like kind of thrown on stuff, and I got to work with people that had all the experience. And so I just kind of tried to take as much information in as I could as a sponge.
Very
Just be
cool. Yeah, and that's like the right attitude to have, because I think we've all been on sets too where somebody comes in and they think they're king shit of turd mountain basically, and you're just like, learn anything and I'm gonna have to deal with this person.
Yeah, no, everything in that world is definitely like figured out. Like I mean, everybody's like an engineer of their own sorts. Like it's crazy what people come up with, and especially like the mechanics. I mean, I don't really do anything mechanical. And so all of the animatronic stuff that I see them make, I'm just like, oh my God, that's incredible. And I do like the skins, the outer layers of
That's awesome.
what it looks like. That's more my department.
Yeah, you never want to actually hear when you're working on something like that, like, oh, that looks great. We'll just fix it in post.
Oh,
You're like, what are we in green screen land? Like this is George Lucas or something? No, we're not going to create the movie in post.
sometimes they try.
Yeah, yeah, sometimes. Oh gosh. So we've got a few minutes here. So kind of let me know. Do you have anything that's kind of coming out or that you're about to start in the next few months here?
I have something that is at all the festivals right now. It's called Night of the Bastard. And it is, where is it at? Like next week it's at Fright Fest in London. It's
Oh,
Fright Fest.
awesome.
And then it also got into Sitages, which is in Spain. Am I
Yeah,
saying it right? I
I
feel
think
like I read
so.
it, but I don't. Sitages. The one it's in Spain. It's like the biggest horror freaking convention in the world. And then we just did Days of the Dead, Indianapolis, and we won Best Movie at that fest. And we got nominated for Best Co, but I didn't win.
Woo,
But
that's awesome. So you've got a lot
yeah,
on the plate. And then, we've got body count coming up, and I'll be remiss. I think Jen would kill me if I didn't mention the GoFundMe still
oh,
up, still trying to, get things wrapped up there. I know that They're filming it in segments, so it's an anthology horror film. So they've been working on it kind of like all year. I'm sure they'll be working on it for months to come. But um, she would literally kill me if I didn't say
I
that.
have a book that I'm a part of. It's called My Favorite Horror Movie. I'd like to donate. I can donate like $3 and I can autograph them and they can go to GoFundMe people as a couple incentives.
Yeah.
So I'll
Oh
donate three of
yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure she'll be down with that. That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Um, so I guess just let me know where online people can see you work. I know you have a website, or I don't know if you have YouTube videos. Maybe you have like a couple makeup tutorials or something like that you want to plug. But
No, I've never done anything like that. I've taught at like Furman University, but I haven't really done that. I'm not super big on social media. I have a Facebook, and technically my company has an Abreaction FX Instagram, but I don't really know how to use it or check it. And I accidentally created an Instagram for myself somehow through Facebook, but I've never followed anyone or done anything with it. But apparently I have one. But yeah, I'm on Facebook. I'm
I
not on the.
it's so refreshing to meet an actual human like me that doesn't use Instagram, or I think I accidentally created one
Yeah.
like on through Facebook where it was like, oh well, whenever it started, right? And it was like, oh well, this is an offshoot. You should do this, and you should. Oh God, you should use the word official in your name, so no in your username, so no one mistakes you. So somewhere out there on Instagram, there's an Eric Lawson official, which to me just sounds like I should be giving out documents or time stamping something. I don't know, or working at a library. I don't know, but so you're not alone. Yeah, I'm old school too. I just use the
I'm a practical person. I live in a
right.
practical world.
Well, and it's like if you think, and I got rid of like Twitter years ago because at a certain point you're like, there's so many hours in the day.
Oh yeah.
You're just gonna waste precious hours of like updating all these platforms, and it's just it'd be nice, I guess. I think you can, but I think that if you could just update one and then they would all update each other.
Like the butterfly
Like
effect.
sounds like the Terminator, but but yeah, yeah. Did you want to give a shout out to anybody that's got stuff that that you're going to be coming up and working with, or different workshops, or
Um,
different production companies?
I'm trying to think of what else I have coming out. Like I have Bloodthirst that's coming out. It's a vampire movie starring Robert Lasardo and Tara Reid. That one's with Lionsgate and the Mahal brothers. That one was actually shot locally in Nevada, here, like Las Vegas area.
Okay.
And then the next convention I think I'm going to be doing is in February, which is the Las Vegas Days of the Dead. Oh, I have this. About this. I haven't actually announced this yet, but I have a pop of my work.
Oh, cool.
Didn't know that it had come out, but I'm the designer of this guy for the band Ghost.
Oh, that's so cool.
And so there's actually some like little action figures and stuff too, that I'm gonna buy and I'll be signing and reselling. But that's my big convention news.
Awesome. Oh, so yeah, I guess if you have a convention that you're going to be appearing at soon, you can plug that here too. If there's anything else you want people to know.
I mean, body count, they got to watch out for that. That's gonna
Yeah,
be
that's the big one. So
coming.
yeah, hopefully working on that next weekend already. Crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
I'll bring the
Saturday.
blood.
It's Saturday here, but we'll be uploading this on Tuesday. So
Okay.
thank you so much for being on the show. You were awesome, as I knew you would be.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. So enjoy the rest of your weekend and have a good one.
Thank you. You too. I'll see you next weekend.
Yes. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.